Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving right into the fascinating origin story of a startup that, honestly, completely revolutionized the way we work. We're unpacking the journey of Canva. More specifically, how they took an incredibly complex, highly technical industry and made it so unbelievably simple that literally anyone could become a creator. You know, whether you're a small business owner, a student, a teacher, or just someone trying to throw together a nice-looking birthday invitation, you've probably felt the impact of this company. But here's the thing, they didn't just stumble into success. They followed a very deliberate and honestly often grueling blueprint to make creativity accessible to absolutely everyone.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. What if design was effortless? Before we even get into the timeline and the massive growth figures, we kind of have to start with this core premise. This single question is the absolute foundation of the entire Canva empire. Imagine a world where taking the ideas floating around in your head and putting them onto a screen didn't require reading a massive textbook, right? It didn't require a masterclass in software engineering, and it certainly didn't cost a small fortune. Imagine if it was literally as easy as just clicking, dragging, and dropping. It sounds incredibly obvious to us today, but I promise you a decade ago, this was a radical, almost impossible concept.
All right, let's look at Section 1, the design complexity problem.
There's just a sheer, stark contrast between these two worlds. On the old way side, picture the early 2000s and 2010s. If you wanted to create a simple poster or maybe a presentation, you were staring down a massive mountain of complexity. You needed highly expensive software, intense technical skills, and hours upon hours of free time just to learn what all the little buttons did. Melanie Perkins, one of Canva's co-founders, saw this firsthand. She was actually teaching graphic design software to university students, and she watched them struggle week after week just to learn the basics of the interface. That exact frustration birthed her vision for a platform simple enough for anyone to use. She fundamentally believed professional design just shouldn't be a locked door.
Which brings us to Section 2, validating with Fusion Books.
Okay, so back in 2007, Melanie is teaching those frustrated university students. By 2008, she and co-founder Cliff Albrecht decide to actually test their simplification theory. But they don't build Canva right away. Actually, scratch that. They start smaller. They launch Fusion Books, which was an online platform specifically for designing school yearbooks. It was a very specific, highly targeted niche. And guess what? It worked. People absolutely loved how easy it was. That early success proved their core theory. If you just remove the technical hurdles, people naturally want to design. So armed with this validation, they expand the team in 2012, bringing on Cameron Adams to help build the underlying tech. And finally, after years of grinding and preparation, they gear up for the massive Canva launch in 2013.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Section 3, surviving investor rejections. Over 100 rejections. Seriously, just pause and let the sheer weight of that number sink in. Pitching an idea that completely disrupts an established industry is incredibly difficult. And you know, investors are naturally skeptical. The founders were essentially walking into rooms and telling seasoned tech investors that they were going to take on the biggest software giants in the world. Oh, and they were going to do it by making everything simpler. Over 100 times they were told no. They were told the market was too crowded, the idea was way too ambitious, or they just weren't the right team for the job. So the really crucial point here is this. Canva didn't succeed because everyone instantly believed in them. No way. They succeeded because they possessed a level of intense, almost irrational persistence. They flat out refused to let early rejection kill a profoundly good idea.
Let's move into Section 4, the drag-and-drop revolution.
When Canva finally launched in 2013, they didn't just release another piece of software. They released an entirely new ecosystem built on 4 key pillars. Step 1, a simple drag-and-drop editor. You see it, you grab it, you place it. Absolutely no coding required. Step 2, ready-made templates. So you didn't have to stare at a blank, intimidating white screen anymore. You had a beautiful starting point created by actual professionals. Step 3, cloud-based collaboration. You could work with your team in real time, right in your browser, without, saving and emailing massive files back and forth. And step 4, affordable access. By utilizing a freemium model, they just completely removed the financial barrier. Anyone could start for free. These 4 steps effectively smashed the massive, intimidating walls around graphic design.
Section 5, global scale and innovation.
Canva's adoption just exploded across demographics. The platform didn't just appeal to one specific little group, it resonated universally. Millions of everyday users, freelancers, content creators, people just making birthday invitations, they all flocked to it. But then, look at the other segments. Global businesses adopted it for their marketing teams so they could maintain brand consistency really quickly. Schools and universities integrated it into their classrooms for teachers and students alike. What this really proves is that the desire to create, the desire to communicate visually, is a universal human need. They didn't just build a tool for designers. They built a tool for literally everyone who has something to say. And they didn't just stop at simple graphics either. Their continuous innovation is honestly staggering. They expanded from simple posters into full-scale video editing, dynamic presentations, interactive team whiteboards, and now cutting-edge AI-powered design tools. But here's the real secret to their success, the thing you really need to take away from this. Despite adding all of these incredibly powerful features, they never once sacrificed that foundational user experience. They added capability without adding complexity. They proved, once and for all, that a tool can be immensely powerful and yet still incredibly easy to use.
Section 6. Lessons in Simplicity.
Let's wrap this up with 4 crucial takeaways. Number 1, solve a real problem. Canva wasn't built on some random gimmick. It was built on the real painful frustration of learning design software. Number 2, keep complex things simple. Your goal should always be to reduce friction for the end user. Number 3, persistence matters way more than early rejection. Remember those 100+ no's? If you truly believe in your solution, you have to outlast the skeptics. And number 4, great products grow through user experience, not complexity. Your product wins when it makes the user feel smart, not when it just shows off how smart the engineers are. So ask yourself right now, what complex barrier in your own industry, in your own daily work, might you be able to simplify? Where can you introduce a drag-and-drop solution to a frustrating problem?
Sometimes the biggest innovation isn't creating something new. It's making something difficult feel effortless. I love this quote. Canva didn't invent graphic design. They didn't invent the poster or the presentation. What they invented was accessibility. They looked at a locked gate and they just handed out millions of keys. Innovation isn't always about inventing a completely new wheel. Sometimes it's really just about paving the road so everyone can finally drive. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep looking for ways to make the complex simple, and I'll catch you next time.